Hello guys. So I came up with this video just on the fly, and I figured some people might actually want to see this kind of content looking at the next few months. So I'm talking about, the next half year. We're starting off the year. We just got, New Year's and all that kind of started. So what does this, at least first half of the year, look like? So we have a couple collabs coming out here soon. First, starting off, The Witch and Hunter Knight. It's one of the Nippon Ichi Software's, I can't remember if it's older title or newer title, but we've got a couple big hitters here. So looking at this, we've got Brainwashed Major Ida. Um, so I'm just gonna go over this from my perspective of what I'm looking at and what I might pull for anything of that nature. Um, I've not really heard too much about Brainwashed Major Ida, at least for JP's perspective. I've heard a little bit about Metalia, and of course, Reevents, if that's how you pronounce it. The rest of them are kind of besides these last two. Um, both of them are, no, she's meta, as you can see, PvP, DPS, and tank. Mainly because of the Thorns ability, which is, I believe that's a PvP thing. I mean, you can use it in other areas, but in terms of PvP, it's one of those damage over time things. Reevents is a very, very, very strong buffer. Um, to be fair, though, her buffs only last one turn, so you can't have someone who's going to be doing, a 1000 action gauge type thing, unless, of course, you're using one that extends buffs. So there is one of those coming later, not right now, but later there will be one that comes out. It extends the buffs past one time, I believe. That is Overlord Rosalind, but I can't remember. Going down into March. So, of course, which is February, right? Going into March, there are a couple that I'm very excited for. Particularly Great Demon Fist Lees. I never remember how to Lees. I'm just gonna say Lees. She's a very strong wind DPS. The others, I've heard Summon Adele is pretty strong for an int support. Sapphire Zeno, I've seen a little bit about her, but I don't think she stays very relevant. Um, the Usa and Salia both are great. I'll go into more detail about them. So, going up to March, I'm looking at Metalia, Reubens. I may do Overlord Metalia and Witch Laharl, but I'm not sure. And then Great Demon Fist, and then the two Usalias, White and Black. Those are the ones I'll be looking to pull, particularly Great Demon Fist, because I kind of have some tech coming up with her in June. Uh, it's already been done in JP, but we'll see how that goes. In April, April is stacked. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Almost every single one of these is a must. Stella's really good fire support. Yasuko is a chest drop farmer, so I think she works similarly to what's his name, Mizador, in farming chest. Maid Salvatore is great water support. She's very similar to some that come later, the two brides, in terms of buffing. She does water. She buff based on how many times you use a water skill. Uh, of course, I've got my, what is that thing called? It's kind of like an event for Flownzilla, giving out some Flown merchant, or not Flown, Godzilla merchandise. Rutal, oh, oh. So JP has this thing called ampules, and basically you can sacrifice one of these people and gain one of their abilities as basically a tack on for one of your characters, and they gain that ability. Hers is so ally with the highest attack at the end of user's turn, CRT plus 10%. It only lasts one turn, but this is really good for stacking onto a couple of your supports. Let's say you have 3 Rutiles, you go ahead and sacrifice all 3 of them, and put them on 3 of your supports, right? So now that all 3 of those gone, your DPS now has 30% extra crit rate, which is just already crazy. Again, it only lasts one turn, meaning you can't use one of the 1000 action gauge skills, but that's fine. You're looking for one attack anyway, so it doesn't matter. And then Crown Valvatores, so he is going to be a very good PvP. He's similar to the other Valvatores that we had, in which whenever he takes damage, people heal up. I'm not sure if it's himself or the other people, but it's really nice. So April is pretty stacked. Going into May, we have the Asagi supports coming in. So you've got male Asagi, which is Asagiri. Yeah. He's a meta support. I've heard all of these are pretty good. I'm not sure about Ghost Asagi. I haven't heard too much, but the rest of them are stacked. April and May are going to be horrible. They're going to be so bad for nether quartz out there. And then we get to June, right? And this is where editing Corey comes in and tells you that, yes, I forgot to scroll down so you could see this. But you'll see it at the end, so don't worry. Oops. Great Demon Fist Lees comes in. So I'm not even going to worry about Groom, Almaz. Bleh. Bride Sapphire. Oh. I believe she's the first unit to be able to buff skill damage just as an actual general buff and not a attack on ability. So anytime you use a wind skill, you get a 12% buff to your skill damage, right? So what this means is if you have 2 of them in your team, anytime you use a wind skill, you're going to gain 24%. Now, what does this mean? If you have 4 of them, yes, 4 of them, you're going to gain 48% skill damage anytime you use a wind skill. Every single one of her skills is wind. So all 4 of them are going to use wind skills, right? She has a really good buff. Her buffs attack by 45% and critical damage by 25%. So all 4 of them, just based on that one skill alone, will buff 180% attack and 100% critical damage. Tack on her other abilities. One does 40% attack and critical. Yes, and critical. So all 4 of them will buff 160% attack as well as 160% critical damage. So you're already up to 260 critical damage and max attack. Well, let's just say max attack. And from there, you've buffed damage by 192%. 192. Now, see, the max for buffing damage is 300%. So we're only missing 108%. Throw on 60% from alchemy. See where I'm going with this. Now you're missing 48%. What does that mean? Well, Great Demon Fist has wind skills. Yes, her 1000 action gauge skill is wind, so you instantly get all those buffs again, bringing you up to max damage, max critical damage, because let's be honest, you're going to be running CRD on your weapon as well as max attack. You have max buffs all around. Oh, and her 1000 action gauge skill also debuffs defense by 50%. So now you have in a raid max debuff. So it's been done on JP, but I plan on doing it in global, which is going to be horrible for me because it means I'm going to have to skip a lot of March, April, and May. Now, these are just general like timelines. Going into Bride Seraphina, she's also very similar to Bride Sapphire as far as like she does fire skills. And Bride Rosalind is also a strong wind support. Let's say I only get 3 of Bride Sapphire, but I somehow managed to get 1 of the Bride Rosalinds. She is also a wind support. She also does wind damage, but she also has a 1000 action gauge wind damage skill, meaning she could actually she could do 2 wind skills. And she also buffs CRT. Ooh. Yeah, so maybe I should run 3 of Bride Sapphire, 1 Bride Roz, because she buffs CRT as well, with 1 evility and 1 of her skills, as well as debuffs 35% defense and res. So meaning on those spar space, you're going to have max defense debuff as well. Yeah, you'll be using a lot of turns, especially with the action gauge plus 1000. So I think max you could end up doing is like, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 turns. Which is not bad. Right now, people at number 1 are averaging 6 turns, but with this, you're getting a lot of buffs out of that. So maybe you don't actually need that 1000 action gauge on Great Demon Fist. I don't know. We'll see though. But it does her Bride Rosalind's 1000 action gauge does get rid of their defense buffs as well, so that might be useful. Besides that, I believe that's the first 6 months going into it. I'm not a big fan of the other 2 coming after that, Primeval Overlord Killia or Infinite Reincarnation Zed. Oh, I did forget to mention one thing. With that setup, getting max damage buff means that Great Demon Fist doesn't have to use a fist to max out damage percentile, so she can go axe and just sweep. Yeah. We'll get into the rest of the year later, but just wanted to go over some of these. I need to actually scroll up so you can see this last one. It's looking pretty stacked. You know, midway through the year, you've got 3 months worth of crazy supports, crazy DPS, and of course, none of these compare to what's coming out in JP right now. But as far as what I'm willing to pull for, I know I need Great Demon Fist. I know I need Bride Sapphire, probably Bride Roz, and There's a bunch of tech that I want. Like, I love Stella's ability. It's very similar to the other brides in terms of fire support. Reevents is a great buffer, but I'm not sure. Uh, that being said, yes, I am dropping Homura at some point. It's sad to say, she's got to go. She just doesn't stack up to everyone else now. It's sad. Those guaranteed crits. Those guaranteed crits. I don't know. Maybe I can use her in a different way. Her 1000 action gauge guaranteeing the crit. Maybe not, but putting an axe on her instead. Uh, Main problem being that you need that 5th wind skill to be able to bring up that damage. But we'll see. I can't wait. Y'all have a nice one. Don't forget to subscribe, like, all that. Remember, you can't be part of the contest unless you do. Have a nice one.